Hi everyone, Teresa here from Teresa's Crafty Cabana. Today I wanted to show you how to use your alcohol inks to make your jelly prints a little bit more impressive looking. I start with some 91% alcohol and I'm brayering it out on my two 5x7 gel plates. The reason I'm using my 5x7 gel plates is because these plates are already stained from my alcohol inks, so I use these as my dedicated alcohol ink appliers. I don't use my bigger plates because they haven't been stained already, and if I do get to the point where I stain those, then I'll probably just use my alcohol inks on any of my gel plates. But if you're worried about the integrity of your jelly plate, having the staining does not affect the use of your jelly plate at all. So just know that it just affects how you see your colors. It is harder to tell what the colors look like together. So to me, when I have a stained gel plate like this, every time I pull my prints, I'm always so surprised by the colors because they don't look anything like what's on the plate. So what I do is I take my alcohol inks, drop them down, and use my blower tool. It will kind of mix with that 91% alcohol that's on the plate, and it will kind of blow it out. You can get some wispy effects this way, and I just apply my alcohol ink anywhere the inks are not moving anymore, just to get them to mix and flow and fill the plate, or however much. You don't even have to fill the entire gel plate. I'm just applying my cooler colors in the beginning of the print, and then I'll apply my warmer colors towards the other side, and then I just kind of wait for all of the colors to look like they've blended together fairly well. The colors that I chose for these prints, they're, in my visual view, they look more pastel-y to me, although alcohol inks have a lot of vibrant color to them, so it is kind of hard to get vibrant looking or pastel-y looking prints unless you really water them down with your alcohol. So I just picked out some colors that looked a little more like spring and kind of going into summer. So the pink that I used is called Pink Sherbet, and I'm using that one to mix with some of my blues. I have the Monsoon as my darker blue, and I have a pool color. I think I have a turquoise there. And I just mix those colors to make a nice light purple. All the purples that I have are real bold color of purple. So this is how I was able to get a little bit of a muted purple. And then my other colors, instead of using orange, I used a honeycomb color. I did use a bright yellow and a citrus lime color. As the alcohol inks are starting to dry, I do come in with some textures here. So I've got a piece of cardstock that I had embossed, and I used that for some little dots. And then here is a piece of, I cut it from a die cut, and it's just the leftover part, but it's a honeycomb die cut. I'm just using that to get some design on the edges of the gel print. And then I have the die cut piece. This one has some of the little pieces still intact. They didn't all come out, and instead of fussing with them, I just kind of left them in there, and they do kind of pull out when I remove them from the gel plate, which is fine. And it kind of gives a little variation to the effect of the texture. I'm just using my blower tool to press it down so I don't get my fingerprints on the gel plate. I am doing this in the ink while it is still just a little bit wet. It's tricky because you don't want to do it when it's too wet. For this one, I pressed my embossed piece of cardstock over the top of it so that I could get a texture behind it, and that helped to press it in a little bit. So I liked that effect. And the neat thing is your die cut is also going to have some color on it, and it looks neat just as is, so you can use that in any kind of a project you're working on. Next, I'm going to use a stencil after those alcohol inks have completely dried. I used this stencil. I got this one on Amazon. It had a pack of, I think it was like 8 different stencils included, and I really liked the look of this one because it had some flowers and it had some clocks, so it looked really pretty to me. So I used 3 colors of my perfect pearls. So I used the gold, a light pink, and the pearl color, the white pearl. And then I took that same stencil and I just moved it up a little bit so that it looked a little bit different on my second gel plate. And there's no dry time on this, so I just went in with my white. This is titanium white, and I'm going to use this to pull up my print. The paper that I'm using for this print is the 110-pound Nina White cardstock. And I'm using the candle lid as a baron to press down evenly. This was a suggestion from my viewer Avanel, and I absolutely love it. Thank you. I do let that dry probably for about 10 minutes, and then look at how beautiful the results are. What I really love about it is the alcohol inks are slightly transparent, so even those pearl powders, they show up a little bit more muted behind the color, but you can still see them when you tilt it in the light. It just makes it look very 3D. I don't know, in real life it's hard to explain, but it just looks like you could walk right into it. It's so cool looking. And I was really happy with those results. So while I still had some of that mica powder or the perfect pearls on the gel plate, I decided to do a different variation here, very simple. All I did was I took another one of my stencils from that set, and I'll link that stencil set that I got from Amazon in the description. And then I just started dropping colors of alcohol ink in. This is a nice text looking one, so I started just dropping ink in the text area, and I'd use some alcohol to get it to move a little bit. And my goal was just to get the parts of the gel plate that were showing to have some color. I really liked the idea that I could get just the outlines of some of these little text pieces, and I wasn't really sure what to expect, so I just tried to cover the surface with the alcohol ink color and get it into the grooves. I'm using colors that work well next to each other, so with my greens and blues I'm using some yellows. I'm mixing the pinks in with the blues and the yellows to get oranges and purples, so trying to not create a muddy situation as I go along and add color. In this case, it's a little bit easier to see the color because I can see it on top of my stencil, whereas when it's just on my gel plate, it's a lot harder to tell what the colors are. I just removed that after I had let it dry, and I'm going in, I'm not even cleaning my stencil, I shifted it just a little bit, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other gel plate. As I was adding this alcohol over the top, I realized some of that alcohol that was sitting on the top of the stencil was starting to bleed into the gel plate as well. So I used that to my advantage. I added a few other colors on top, but then I could blow out some of that color that was sitting on the stencil and get that into the little text areas. This stencil it kind of looks like postage because it's got the little postage stamp and the little postage circle, but it also looks like text a lot, almost like a little book page. I also let this one dry before I removed the stencil. And to clean this, I could just use alcohol and that would come up nice, although it does look really pretty right now. I let this dry completely before I go in with my next step. This time I'm going to use some iridescent bright gold. And then I'm just putting down my 110-pound Mina White cardstock. So this one was very simple. If you remember, it's just the alcohol inks over the stencil and then the bright gold in the background. But look at how cool this looks. So you get all those little texty areas. Some of them are just outlines and some of them kind of show the whole word. Some of them blend out a little and kind of blur and have little dots, and I think it's just so beautiful. I just love how these prints turned out. What always surprises me with alcohol inks is what you get. You never really know from putting down the colors and mixing them. You don't know always how it's going to look. So I just was so happy with how these turned out, and I can't wait to use them in a project. In fact, I kind of feel like I don't want to use them because I like them so much that maybe I'll just showcase them as is or add just a little bit of text over the top of these and use them maybe as a background or something. But I think they're so beautiful. Let me know in the comments if you would try something like this on your gel plate. And if you've already used your alcohol inks, do you keep a dedicated gel plate for your alcohol inks, or do you not care? Sometimes I don't care. If I didn't use them for my YouTube channel, I probably would stain all of my plates and not really care. But I do like that on the clear ones, you can see the colors a little bit better. So that's part of the reason why I keep my dedicated plates just for the alcohol inks. But I'll use them for my regular paints as well. So thanks for watching and thanks for being here. I hope you give this a try. I think you'll be surprised and very thrilled to see how beautiful your prints can turn out by just using these few simple techniques. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for being here and happy crafting.